Hey, today is day 267 of reading the whole Bible. Today we read Nehemiah 6 and 7. So let's go. Nehemiah 6 and 7 are pretty short. They run together in a way that chapter 7 actually is a duplicate of Ezra 2. Almost exactly. It's really close. There's a couple of small details that are different. But overall, it's pretty much the same list for the same purpose. It's establishing these are all the people who came back, and because it's establishing who their descendants are, what family they're part of, that is a way of both verifying that they do belong in the land. They're not just transplant usurpers with everybody else, and it shows where they go. It helps divvy out their land allotment. Like, yes, you have the right to this land because that's all connected to heritage, what tribe you come from, what family within that tribe, and all of that. And they would have historical records of where everybody was. So that's all very relevant to the resettlement of Israel. Backing up to chapter 6, we pick up right at the end of the project. It says that while everybody else was harassing them, all they had left to do is hang the doors. And while they're in the middle of that project, first they're trying to disrupt it before the wall is complete. Because once the wall is complete, and now you have a fortified city again, now you have a place of refuge. Now you have a place of defense, and it's going to be much harder to bother and harass. Like, the people are safe against your attacks if you should choose to attack, and or you don't have the kind of pressure that you have on somebody that you just have easy access to. They can't just come around and bully them whenever they want because now they're behind a fortified wall. And so knowing that, they come to him, and first they try luring them out onto their ground. And so they go, hey, let's meet here, Nehemiah. Let's get you here because he's the head of the project. So if they can get him out of the way, then they can really cause some ruckus in that way and cause a problem. And so they try that first. And when that doesn't work, and he's like, no, I know you have nothing good in mind. I'm not coming out there. There's no way. I'm too busy. I have other things to do. I don't need to be distracted by your nonsense. So then they show up again, and this time they show up with an open letter saying, like, this is something that anybody can read, and they're obviously showing it to everybody, going like, oh, look at this. And I mean, it's like the TMZ version of the news update. Like, this is what everybody's saying. Like, this is what you're saying to everybody. You are spreading you are the rumor mill. Don't tell me what you heard in the rumor mill. You're telling me what you heard yourself make up about me and about us. We're not rebelling, and the king knows this. And so they have this easy dismissal of it, but it's so hard and so important to know and discern when you should share those things and when you shouldn't. And then there's a guy who is Jewish, the house of Shemaiah, son of Deliah, son of Mehetabel, who is restricted to his house. And he says, oh, let's meet in the house of God, and we'll meet there and talk about it. And Nehemiah's like, I can't go there. I'm not a priest. I can't walk into the house of God, and neither can you. So that was a red flag. And he knows, no, I'm not going. This is just another trap. You're just another pawn of these guys trying to cause a problem. And then the last one, they finish the wall. They hang all the doors. That's the final thing that has to happen. And they build this fortified wall. And now word's getting out like, Jerusalem is actually a fortified city once again. And now the Jews will be able to stand against us, and we won't be able to just come at them whenever we want. And then Tobiah, who has married into Jewish families, there's some claim that he has. And so he keeps reaching out through his relatives. He's got his own little network to reach back in and say, hey, you need to meet with me. Hey, this and that. And I'm really a good guy, and you should really talk to me, and don't write me off as, this horrible person. And he won't fall for it. But the elders within Jerusalem keep coming to Nehemiah and telling him, like, hey, he's a pretty good dude. You should really hear him out. And he goes, no, I know who he is, and I know what he wants. I've already seen it. He's already shown his hand. Now he's trying to pretend like that wasn't true. I mean, this is like ancient gaslighting. He's like, oh, look, I'm really a pretty great guy. I just want to tear down everything that you've built if I get the chance. That's all I want. But I'm going to pretend until you let me in. And man, that feels relevant in a lot of ways. I have dealt with people who have this kind of shady thing where they first try to attack what you're doing on behalf of the Lord. And they first try to attack it outright. And when that doesn't work, they try manipulation. When that doesn't work, then they try going around and kind of getting at you from other people who you trust and who don't know the full extent of what's really happened. And so then there's all this like third-party gaslighting where it's like, well, you must have understood because I know this person to be good. And it's like, yeah, but they're not. They don't have any good purposes in mind. And they've shown themselves to be not trustworthy. And now they're showing themselves to be completely shady and manipulative and dishonest in the way that they're going about this. Nehemiah does not get distracted with all of that. Instead, he stays true to the call of what they're doing right now, which is building the wall and reestablishing Jerusalem. And so then it just moves on. And right at the end of chapter 7 and in the CSB, which is what I was reading as I was studying here, it actually attaches the end of chapter 7, verse 53 to chapter 8. And so I missed it the first time. And I didn't catch that this was part of it. But if you look at the calendar dates listed here, the wall is complete at the end of the 6th month of the year. And then it lists all of these descendants and all these people coming back, and it gives us this whole account of like, this is who's coming back, and this is what's going on there, and this is what's happening. This is why these guys aren't allowed to be priests until there are priests who can cast lots and use the Urim and Thummim to figure out whether or not you're really allowed back in and whether you qualify as a priest or you're disqualified and all of that. And then it concludes with, when the 7th month came, the Israelites had settled in their towns. When the 7th month came. So when the 7th month arrived, day 1 of the 7th month, after day 25 of the 6th month, there's 31 days in that month. And so it's like 6 days later, it's like they spent a few days going through the records, and then it's going to move on into, okay, and now after less than a week, here's where we're at. And moving into chapter 8. And we won't get into that. But all of this happens pretty quick. They finished the wall in 52 days. It was like less than 2 months they put this together. And they give credit to the Lord. They say it's because the Lord has been with us. Jesus said, "Blessed are you when people say all sorts of false things about you on account of my name. Blessed are you when people say false things and accuse you and hate you because of your righteousness for my sake." You are blessed in those times. And I've been there. I know it is hard to stand up and stay true to the call and not get distracted when people are spreading all sorts of things. And in those times, it's more important than ever to just focus on Jesus and don't let the noise of everything else around get in the way of you doing the thing that God is calling you to do. And so that's my takeaway. That's my encouragement to you. And I'd love to hear what your thoughts, questions, and comments are as you read through this and as you read of the manipulation and attacks and just disruption that Sanballat and Tobiah are trying to spread and prevent the completion and resettlement of the wall and of Jerusalem itself. So I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments. So drop that in the Bible app or here on this video. Thank you for joining us on this journey. I pray that you are drawing nearer to the Lord and getting to know him better. So may you be rad for Jesus.